And we have another error message. There we go, that's gone. Should be working, right? I had a message from a client last night that she'd only got to like 1,000 calories for the day. And her goal was around 1,650 calories. We're working on just building the foundations, looking at roughly how much she's eating, looking at her protein amounts before we look to optimize. And one of the things that I look at right now with clients, especially this time of the year, or anytime they start a new process, we want to go all in, we want to go sprinting, but we need to build those foundations first. So looking at how much she's eating, getting a good idea of how much protein, carbohydrates and fat she's eating, and how we can optimize that. And one of the things she said is, do you really want me to hit those calories even though I'm not hungry? And typical with the dogs started barking. Do we want to hit those calories even though, we'll give it 1 second. They've been quiet literally all day, apart from one time when I went on a call, and then now when I go on Facebook Live. So do you want me to hit these calories? Yes, we want to get closer to these calories. Now, one of the things that has been bandied about over the years is starvation mode. If we eat too little, we are going to put on weight. It doesn't work like that our metabolism necessarily slows down just because we're starving ourselves or eating too little. What happens is each food has a thermogenic effect, which means it raises our core temperature to a degree. That potentially burns calories. Also, when we eat and we get in a good calorie balance, we fidget, we move around more. When we go into a deficit and we start really starving ourselves, we end up not fidgeting as much, just like I'm doing right now. A thing called non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So we stop doing this fidgeting. So we burn less calories. We then potentially, without realizing it, we won't take the same choices because we've got a little bit less energy. We don't stand as much. We start slouching rather than being upright. So we don't actually necessarily go into starvation mode, but our body, without realizing, will potentially burn less calories because we are trying to consume energy. Now, what actually happens is that chances are you're under a lot of stress. Now, this calorie deficit, the bigger it is, will have more of a stressful impact on the body. Sorry, the dogs put me off earlier. The more of a calorie deficit we have, the more stress we put on the body. Now, if we're having stress from our business, stress from our relationships, from our environment, stress from everything that's going on in the world nowadays, financial stress, work stress, all these different things that are going to add stress to our body. Now, if we have such a low amount of calories, that is unneeded stress, undue stress. We know we have to be in a calorie deficit to drop weight. We know that. It's basic mathematics. But if we're in too much of a calorie deficit, it can be very detrimental for you. Not in a way that your body goes into starvation mode, but we cause more stress. And eventually we get more fatigued. Our tiredness levels go up. And eventually, once we get so tired, chances are we fall off that diet. Or we reach for the easy food. We reach for the processed food, the junk food, the alcohol, the things that give you comfort, the things that in that moment feel like they lower your stress. And we end up pushing aside that nutritious food because it takes time to prepare and so on. Now, you can eat too little, but if you are struggling to get in like 1,000 calories and your goal is 1,700 calories, do I advise to just go straight to that? No, because some of the things that we look at, and it's one of the things which we go over with the full health screening, 99 pounds, brain health, gut health, adrenal function, and genetics. We go through some deep questionnaires and get on a call, but one of the things we go through, some of the questions are, do you struggle to eat large meals in the morning, or do you struggle to swallow supplements? And our body likes to have routine. Our body likes to have consistency. So getting your food in with consistent times allows it to get the enzyme production. If we've got poor enzyme production or we're under high levels of stress, we're going to struggle to break down that food as effectively as we could. Therefore, I highly recommend that if you are one of these people that struggles to get in the right amount of food, and then suddenly you fall off because you're just eating a load of junk or sugary things or alcohol or that sort of thing, slowly increase your calories. Work your way towards it. Start eating an extra 100 calories a day, then 200, then 300, then 400, until you're right up to that amount that you want to be. And don't force feed yourself. Just start working on building up your tolerance to it. Just like if you were running a marathon, you don't go and run a marathon from zero to a marathon. I know some people that do that, crazy people, but you build yourself up with training, and it's about doing that with nutrition. And eventually what happens is, when people don't want to cut certain foods out, eventually we don't really crave these foods because we've got a good calorie allowance, that we then get good blood glucose management. We don't get these cravings, and we can actually have that food without needing to devour the whole bar of chocolate. We can have 1 or 2 bites of it. We can have a glass of wine rather than the whole bottle. We just manage and balance our stress levels. And another thing that happens, especially this time of year, is we start these diets and we go on these big caloric deficits, but also we add in high levels of exercise. I really truly believe add in the exercise and have a tiny focus on diet. Add in the diet and have a tiny focus on exercise. Do one of the two. Start building up habits in one side or the other side, and then start adding things over. You don't need to overwhelm yourself. Life is so stressful anyway that if you do it one single step at a time, we're able to build up slowly and get more consistent, sustainable results. Now, I mentioned about the full health screening. It's a really powerful tool for you to actually go through and see what is going on. How is your cravings? How is the way your brain functions that stops you potentially losing weight or causing unnecessary inflammation in the body, makes you fatigued. If you waken through the night, are you getting bloated randomly? These are all things we look at on the full health screening. And then what happens is we go through, give you have a call with you, we record that call and give you some action points to implement. And then you can go off and you can implement these things. It's £99. If you're interested in that, go to ojayhealth.com/services and you can sign up for your screening, get booked in for your call right there. Otherwise, drop me a message if you want to have more information about that or you want to talk about further one-to-one coaching. But honestly, build yourself up to this stuff. Stop trying to rush things. As much as we want to rush things, it's tempting to rush things. Go steadily, slowly, build yourself up, and you will get much better, longer lasting, sustainable results.